WNUF.com.
Thank you for listening to the official YouTube page of Midnight Triple Feature. Please, while you listen, head over to midnighttriplefeature.blogspot.com. You can check out past shows, reviews, or link up to social media where we can keep in touch. Thank you for listening.
WNUF Halloween Special is a movie that came out in 2013. It's found footage, which is, found footage is kind of a sore subject in the horror community. People really hate found footage movies and horror films. They think that it's cheap, it's
Overdone.
It's a way for people to just make a big return on investment. So
this is done slightly different,
right?
Though.
So the thing with WNUF Halloween Special is, so I'm going to say right off the bat that it's a found footage film that could only be done in found footage. So they found a way to take that format and make it so that this movie couldn't be made any other way. You know what I mean? So like found footage is the only thing that makes sense here. It doesn't make sense in any other way because of the way they constructed it.
Yeah.
So it's basically constructed as a cable access news program. On Halloween night, they're doing their Halloween special where this guy, Frank Stewart.
Yeah, something like that.
Is going into this place called the Weber House where this guy had murdered his family years before, and he's going to go in and do an investigation. But the whole thing is cut in with fake advertisements, news segments, like all this stuff to try to make it feel genuine. I guess let's start by talking about that. Like, before we get into the story and all that, let's just start with the format itself. Like, what'd you think?
I thought it was alright. The only problem I had was, like, I thought there was too many commercials. Like, they should have cut it down a little bit. Like, for me, after a while, the commercials just got to me.
Right.
And started taking me out of it.
Yeah, I think, going from screen to screen, like, they didn't almost have a chance to finish.
Right.
They didn't have to stop. I was just telling you.
The first time I watched it, the commercials were a bit much. The second time I watched it, I liked them a lot better. And there's a reason for it. I mean, but so actually I have a sample of the ads here. So actually, do you want to play that? So
you want to know?
Idea of, anybody who hasn't seen it, get an idea of what these ads are that we're talking about.
It's the time for trick-or-treating. It's the new Halloween makeup kit by Frank Johnson. Use a wide variety of colors and creams to transform you and your friends into hideous monsters. You can become anything. Demons, ghosts, maniacs, and more. Frank Johnson makeup is safer than gas. It never impairs vision, and it's hypoallergenic, too. So pick up your Halloween makeup kit today and watch your kids transform into creatures of the night. Move over, Dirty Harry. Take a hike, Arnold. Hit the bricks, Rambo. There's a new gunslinger in town. You! That's right. Cloverland Shooting Range turns average Joes like you into He-Man action stars and pistol-packing mamas. With a variety of challenging target ranges, instructional how-tos, and even lessons for the kiddies. All in a fun, safe, action-packed environment. Come feel the warm embrace of the Second Amendment at Cloverland Shooting Range. It's worth a shot.
Our children are changing. They're getting bad grades. They're talking back to us. They're lost. Our streets are riddled with crime, guns, knives, monsters lurking in the shadows. No one is safe anymore. And there's one culprit. Drugs are changing America. Save your children. Clean up our streets. Bring peace back to this country. Stop drugs and save your children's future.
All right, so the thing with the ads that I actually really like is that the fact, first of all, think about it like this. You have to write every single one of those little ads, right?
Yeah.
So not only do you have to do that, you then have to film them so that they make sense and feel genuine to the time period, which they do. And you have to write all those ads so that they feel like they belong to them. So like a drug ad, right? In the 80s, man,
They were
this is your
huge.
brain on drugs, right?
Yeah.
Drug ads are everywhere. Then like they had more ads, that aren't even on here, but ads of like the video arcades.
The used car salesman.
Right, the used car salesman. Like,
the rug guy.
Right, the tampon commercial.
Yeah,
right, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
all these things that, like, the second time I watched it, I was like, they take you out of it, but if you just start to watch them as, like, as a reflection of the 80s, then I'm all of a sudden like, yeah, I really, really like this because it just reminds me of all that shit.
Yeah, you
from the
remember
80s.
that, yeah.
And like the gun ad there. Like the fact that they're like, you know, Rambo, Schwarzenegger, you know, like all these characters in the 80s that were like these huge
icons.
Today, like, you wouldn't get an ad like that because they aren't as iconic today as they were, but that's so right to that time. He-Man action star, you know what I mean? Like, those types of references, I don't know, man. Like, I find them funny. So, like, as I'm watching it the second time, I'm not looking at it as a horror film anymore. I'm looking at it as, like, a comedy at this point. And I think it's supposed to be funny. So, the first time I went in, I was like, oh, this is a horror film, you know? And I was like, this isn't a horror film. Like, you watch it all the way through, you're like, it's got elements of horror for sure. This is a comedy. Like, this is supposed to be funny. And I think if you go into it with that mindset, it might change it a little bit. Like, the way that the newscasters are acting is very comedic.
I didn't
the way
mind
that Stewart, the host, is constantly making fun of everybody, like basically putting out how stupid they are.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all supposed to be funny. Now, the dude that plays they're a riff on the Warrens. They're supposed to be like Ed and Lorraine Warren, those two ghost hunters.
Oh, yeah.
But the dude, right, I read online that somebody said that they put him after Ray Bradbury. Now, what I want you to, you're not going to be able to do it right now, but you go and Google Ray Bradbury, right?
Yeah.
And,
Ray Bradbury Theater.
Right. Google a picture of Ray Bradbury and look at the picture, and then immediately you're going to be like, that dude looked like he was in the fucking movie. Because he looks just like the guy that was the ghost hunter. Right?
Oh, wait, I misspelled it. Ray.
And I'm going to get into more reference stuff.
Oh, my God, he does.
And he's even got a black cat in one of those pictures. Find the picture with the cat.
Wow. He's even got the thick black glasses.
Yeah, dude. And try to find the picture with the cat. Because in the movie, they have a cat named Shadow.
Right there.
Look at that. Oh, no shit. Tell me that's not the guy.
That looks just like him.
Isn't that fuck?
Yeah.
Like, the amount of detail.
And what does he do? What is this guy's job?
He's an author. So, like, the amount of detail that went in to make that guy look exactly like that is fucking insane. This is a movie that's made for like a few $1,000s.
Yeah, that's
so,
pretty
like,
crazy.
Like, my thing is, like, when you start to get into, like, the little details, the little things that they did to make this movie not only feel authentic, but if you're, like, a fan, you start looking for things, you're going to start to see a lot of things. So, I don't know if I should get into the references first or the story.
Do the references first.
So here, I got a list, right? So did you ever see the movie The Number 23 with Jim Carrey?
I have it, but I haven't seen it yet.
It's bad, right? But I feel like him. Like,
he's like, it's bad.
Right, but I felt like him. Like, all of a sudden I was seeing shit that I wasn't sure was there. So I'm like, that's a reference. That's a reference. I'm like, maybe that's not a reference. Maybe it is a reference, right? So the name in all the ads, right? And this is what makes the ads as so much fun to me. They're selling a liquor called Frumkiss. Frumkiss liquor, right? Or it's like a... Frumkiss is the director of a movie called Street Trash, which is about bums who drink liquor and melt. The liquor is named after the director of Street Trash. Frumkiss liquor, right? There's one. Shadowbrook Road. That's where the rug place was supposed to be. That's the same road that the house in Monster Squad is on. Shadowbrook Road. It's the same exact street,
wow.
right? So that's a Monster Squad reference, right? The makeup ad, the one that I played, features makeup from Halloween 3. It's got the pumpkin makeup and the witch makeup.
I did notice that, yeah.
Halloween 3 makeup.
I noticed that.
In the metal album, when they're playing all the names of the songs, the last song in there is Rotor. R-O-T-O. Remember Rotor?
The movie.
That's gotta be a Rotor reference. There's no fucking way that's
yeah,
not
there's
a
no way
Rotor
that's a
reference.
coincidence. That was a shitty movie.
Right, here we go. Character names. Now this is where I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, maybe I'm insane. Like, maybe I'm just seeing shit, right? There's a character with the last name of Matheson. Maybe Richard Matheson. There's a character with the last name of Polonia. I'm like, Polonia sounds familiar, right? It's so random. There's a director named Mark Polonia who made a movie in 1987 called Splatter Farm that was released direct to video. Polonia is a last name that's way too fucking specific to be an accident. He also directed a movie called Meat Eaters that came out recently. Stanza is the last name of a director called Eric Stanza. Barlow versus Dandridge. Barlow is the vampire in Salem's Lot, and Dandridge is the vampire in Fright Night. There are two politicians in the ads fighting against each other. Barlow versus Dandridge. It's two vampires, right? It's the same name. It's gotta be. Like, am I fucking nuts?
Yeah.
Dakota is the last name. David Dakota is the director of Creepazoids, so name one.
Oh, yeah.
Bookwalter. J.R. Bookwalter is the director of a movie called The Dead Next Door. Allen. David Allen. Gordon. Stuart Gordon. Like, I'm going nuts because I'm watching one. I'm like, this movie is packed with references. And when you start to watch it that way, all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, this movie's amazing. Because if you're like a fan, you start to dig and see things. And then you start to wonder, like, is that a real reference? Is it not a reference? When you think about it in those terms, you start to be like, kind of impressed. You start to be impressed.
Yeah, I caught a few, but I did not catch that many. Yeah.
I watched it twice because the first time I watched it, I didn't notice it until the Shadowbrook Road reference. And I was like, that's Monster Squad. And right after that is the Froomkiss ad. I'm like, I love Street Trash. I love that movie. So I was like, holy shit. I was like, what did I miss? And then all of a sudden I'm like, especially names like Dakota. I mean, Dakota, that's definitely a David Dakota reference. There's no way it's not. It's like the Barlow and Dandridge thing. There's no way it's an accident. He's doing it on purpose, but he's not pointing it out. He's not naming them by their first. He's only giving them last names. So their first names are different. So, like, you have to either believe you're insane, and I'm seeing shit that's not there, or this guy is putting references everywhere in this movie.
It's a lot of work, too.
That's what I'm saying, right? The amount
a lot
of
of
work.
The thought process.
So then
I kind of want to go back and watch it again now just to catch them all.
Me too.
Right,
Yeah.
and then you take that and the amount of work that went into marketing this thing, right? So we can talk about the marketing. It's found footage, but he wanted people to believe that it was from 1987. Right? That's the whole point. You want people to believe.
Legit, looks good.
Right. Jeff was like, looks like it was made in 1987. You know, like, you could show this to somebody and I guarantee you they would believe you. The only giveaway that it's not is you cannot record a fast forward. So when it shows the tape going forward, like what I'm talking about, when he speeds it up, you can't do that with a VCR. It's actually not possible. That's the only thing. So if you were watching this on a VHS tape, which is how he distributed it originally, the fast forward wouldn't make sense and that would give it away.
See, I was thinking of it like dual VHS. Like somebody was recording it, was watching it, recording it onto another VHS tape, and then fast forwarding.
You still can't record that fast forward though, right?
Yeah, you can.
You sure?
Yeah, this VCR is going to record whatever this VCR is doing.
But I thought once you hit the fast forward, it would stop the other tape.
I don't think so.
Look into that.
Yeah.
Either way, though.
If you got two VCRs, we can do it tonight.
I have one.
I got one that's built into a TV.
I do actually have two, but one of them's broken. But so anyway, the way he marketed it was he went to conventions and whatnot, and he just left fucking tapes.
That's
blank
awesome.
Tapes,
that's such a good idea.
Threw them out windows and shit. So people take the tapes, go home, and be like, "What the fuck's this tape?" Put it in and think it's real, because they think they have a VHS tape of a recording from 1987.
Yeah.
Like
Genius
if you watched,
idea.
you would think it was. There's no. The only reason you wouldn't is if you started getting the references, because when you saw the references, you'd be like, "There's definitely something here." But if you didn't know that, like if you didn't pick up on Froomkiss or something like that, you wouldn't realize that the references. So you'd be like, "This is 1987," which of course brings the ending into like, if you think it's real and you get to the end, you'd be like, "What the fuck did I just watch?" You know? But let's get to the story. So. Do you ever hear of a movie called Ghost Watch?
No.
It's a movie I saw recently, actually, but I want to see for a long time. You can watch it on Cryptic TV. And it was a movie that came out in the early 90s. It was a TV movie in Britain. And it was based around this one night in Halloween. And these people are going into this house to perform like a ghost hunt, whatever. And it's all live. But what happened was... And this is very similar in story and everything. There's no ads. People tuned in late into the Ghost Watch and thought that this was really happening. So, like, people started to freak out because the whole thing was based around, like, a possession and all this other stuff. People started to lose their shit and think that they were watching, like, you know, the end of the world or whatever. It was, like, basically like the War of the Worlds thing all over again, but in the 90s. And then the movie ended up kind of, like, just being pulled or whatever. And But it's very similar to that, so I think that's a big reference. Another throwback to 80s is Satanic Panic. Oh, Jeff, you were like, you were like 40 years old in the 80s, so. No, but do you remember?
I was 38.
I mean, you know about Satanic Panic, like in the 80s in particular. There was a lot of people. There was a big fear of satanic cults.
Yeah, Elvira's Mistress of the Dark. She had that nightly show. She had a lot of those movies on.
Right, well, there were lots of people that thought that there was a large influx of satanic worshippers.
Yeah.
And like, I remember...
That's why a lot of the 80s movies are all like devil movies and devil
well, you got The Omen was in the 70s, but, you know...
Yeah, well, you had, like, so in the 80s, you had all the weird molestation cases that came out in the 80s. And there was one in particular that was built around the fact that they started saying that people were sacrificing children to a satanic altar. And there was, like, legitimate fear. People were afraid. So this kind of plays on that time period of satanic panic. So, what was it? Oh, so anyway, I want to talk about where we grew up. Do you remember? You probably don't remember. I don't know why I remember this, but there was a time where somebody had gone behind the old Ames. It used to be Ames.
Yeah.
And they had spray painted a bunch of satanic
Oh, yeah,
shit.
I remember that, yeah.
But they wrote the word Satan, right? And everybody lost their shit. Satan. But they spelled it Satin, which is actually satin. So they actually spelled it like a soft material that you wear on your panties or something. You know? So,
yeah.
But I remember, like...
And that was there for a while. They didn't
they lost their shit. It made the news, man. Yeah. And that's what this reminds me of, because they have that whole thing with that cult.
But they should have known the town that these kids were coming from. They did mean Satan. They just didn't know how to spell it. Right.
Yeah. But real satanic worshippers would know how to spell Satan, you know? And that's what it's all about. It's like, in this movie, there's like that religious group that's, you know, obsessed with Satan, and they have that whole little segment in there about the rise of satanic worship and all that. That's all from the 80s, man. That's all pulled right from the headlines. Yeah. What else do I have to say? I mean, what did you think about the movie itself? Let's cut out the ads, right? Let's cut out the news segment. Mm-hmm. Just go straight to the story itself. What did you think of that? Just the guy and the investigators and the priest and the cat.
I actually thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good, and I really because with these types of things, it's always, why don't you put the camera down? You know, like, how are you always recording? Yeah. And this gives you right. It doesn't happen right away, so it's slow steps into what happens.
Yes.
So it gives it a reason on why the camera's rolling all the time.
Yeah, and the fact that it is the way that it's like a news broadcast also explains it, because, you know, if you're reporting a news broadcast, the typical thing would be actually not to put the camera down. It would be to shoot no matter what. And
I love how every time something happens, they're like, let's go to commercial break. Like, they immediately rush into a commercial.
Funny, I know.
I actually like that, because that's what they would do in real life.
Yeah, it feels
in real
legit.
life, if that happened, it would immediately go to a commercial.
Feels absolutely legit.
Yeah, it does. They did a really good job.
Yeah, I thought I think the whole format of everything, they pulled it off. I thought the seance scene was funny.
Yeah,
when people were calling in. And, so when I was in high school, there were these kids in my class. They were, you know, we were probably 15. And they decided they were going to do a public access show. So it was a bad idea. You don't do it, right? Because, like, what's going to happen is all the kids that you go to school with are going to watch it, and then they're going to make fun of you. But they allowed a call-in portion. And basically, it was like this. It was like, they'd be like, hey, can someone call in and give me... And what they wanted was, like, I remember this. They wanted a theme song for their show. So somebody turned in and they started, like, blasting Slayer, and then they hang up the phone. And somebody else was like, hey, maybe you could use the song My Name is Mud. Have you ever heard that song?
Yeah, My Name is Mud.
My Name is Mud.
It's Primus.
Yeah, Primus.
Yeah.
So they're like, I don't know, can you play us, like, a little clip and see if it'd be good for the show? And all of a sudden it's like, My Name is Mud. And then they just fucking hang up the phone. And that's exactly what this was like. Like, if you open it to the general public, they're going to call in and just say the stupidest shit. I got a kick out of that. It felt legit, because I've seen it happen, you know?
Because there was a couple kids in high school, when I was in high school, that did that.
Yeah.
And like a whole bunch, they would call in like with like Spanish accents and pretend they were gangbangers.
Yeah.
And they would just start like this fake like gang war over the air, like calling and hanging up, and like then the next person would call and pretend they were from a different gang and like argue with the person who just hung up. It's fucking hilarious.
Anybody can start we could start a public access show tomorrow.
We should.
Anybody can do it, right?
We should. We just play like public domain horror movies.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
That's right. Which they also have a nod to that too. They have like that ad for that guy who's like, he's sort of like not Elvira, but he's a horror host. And did you see that one? Where,
well, I must have saw it because I watched the whole thing.
Yeah, and it cuts to it. That was funny too. He's like, after the Halloween, come and watch. It's like a guy dressed as like a vampire. He's showing public domain horror movies.
Yeah,
I like that. Do we want to spoil the ending?
I wouldn't.
I was gonna say there is a spoiler about the priest.
Yeah, like I didn't know if we should spoil the priest thing. It's a relatively new movie. I mean, it's only not even a year.
Yeah, no, I mean, I want people to go see it, and I wouldn't want to give anything away.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, so the first time I watched it, I was like, I liked it. The second time I watched it, I was like, I loved it. I don't know why. Maybe
I'm gonna have to watch it a second
maybe it's
time.
because
I'm gonna watch it again.
Like, you need to pay attention to the ads. Like, I know it sounds weird because, like, you think like I want to get through the ads because I want to see what's gonna happen in the story. But once you know what happens in the story, like once you know how it ends, it doesn't matter anymore. You can start to enjoy the other things in the movie that are there.
I'm definitely gonna go back and watch it.
You can only buy this on one website too. It's only available through Alternative Cinema on DVD and VHS. You can't get it anywhere else.
I would probably, man, you know what? I might get a VHS of this.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
I would like just to have it. I mean, I only have one VCR or so. But
for me personally, it's like...
To have that and then just to like tell people, hey, check this VHS out.
Part of it, right?
And you
like,
pop in the VHS tape.
Tell them it's real. Like, you almost want to do that, right?
Yeah.
They're going to believe you.
Call your friends up. Hey, I got something. Dude, I found this on the side of the
road.
road.
Half my friends are all stoned out of their minds, so they won't even know anyway.
You're not going to believe what happens in this thing.
Yeah. Be like, I found it on the side of the road and I put it in.
Yeah.
You know, to see what the hell it was, and this is what I found.
Oh, man,
Then you get that one friend who's like, "We got to call the cops, bro.
That's what's gonna
we got to call the cops.
That's what's gonna happen." Be like, dude, this is like snuff film, dude. Like people, you know, like
Well, not yeah.
It's not snuff because snuff would indicate that like you take a chick, I think, and you bang her and you kill her on film.
Yeah,
that doesn't happen in this movie.
But by the way, just so you know, because I watched this up in bed, and there was an ad for. God, I don't remember what the ad was for, so I paused it, and I went to grab my phone, and it fell on the floor, so I was getting it, and the lady's like, what the hell are you doing? I was like, I'm going to call this number. I called the number on the ad. It goes to a plastic company in California.
Really?
Yeah, let me see if I still have it. I'll put it on speaker and do it. Let me see if I still...
Yeah, because they didn't use 555 numbers either, which...
No, they used real numbers.
That's another thing, is most movies
gotta
use
be
555.
They probably just picked the number out of the
555 is not a real... That's the one that you see in movies and shows. Typically because if you put a real number in, it's somebody's real number. But that just brings more legitimacy, right? Because if you saw 555, you would just assume it's fake immediately.
Let's see if I can still find it. I know it was an 888 number.
Man. Another thing, too, that I liked was the ad for the 900 number. Like, you could call up. Because remember in, like, the 80s, they had the 900 numbers you could call?
Yeah.
There's, like, 1-900, like...
Those were all
big
sex,
tits.
Those are sex numbers.
Yeah. But they had one on this. It was like what you could call and they'd read you a horror story.
Yeah.
And it was like $2 a minute.
My brother used to work for the phone company when he was an operator.
Yeah.
And he would always like forward the 900 calls to like my phone so that we could listen to the 900 calls.
Oh my god. Like I remember when I was a kid, we'd go down to the payphones and we'd dial the number to be like 1-900 like, you know, sexy, whatever we could think of that we think would be a real number, and some of them were, and you'd get like the recording in the beginning, and it'd be like some chick, and she'd be like, "Hi, you have reached 1-900 big tits. Like, if you want to speak to so and so, it's going to cost this much per minute. You need a valid credit card number." And then we'd hang up the phone when it was done. We were like 7 years old.
I don't remember the ad that this went to, but when you see it on screen. It is 1-800-981-2413. Should I have said that over the air?
Yeah, why not?
And this is what you got.
It's a plug.
Thank you for calling TW Plastics of San Antonio. Our office hours are Monday through Friday,
That's all you got.
8 a.m. until 5.
And that's right from the movie.
You know your party's extension.
That's the number that's on the screen. There's more numbers in that movie, right? That's not the only phone number.
Yeah, well, no. There's a ton of phone numbers, but what happened was I kept seeing so many, and I'm like, these can't be real numbers. So I just picked a random one, paused it, and
That's
called
probably
it.
what they did. They probably picked a random fucking number.
And
but I
that's what you
wonder
get.
if they're using the same area codes for all of them, so if they're all like San Antonio. Like every number on there is probably like...
Yeah, that I don't know.
Although that was an 800 number, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's an 800 number. Yep.
I don't know, man. I thought it was fun. I mean, I had fun with it.
I think it's the lawyer check commercial. I think it's that
Maybe,
commercial.
yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But I was curious, so.
I don't know. I had fun with it.
It's kind of like that thing with if you play the original Roger the Rabbit video game for regular Nintendo.
Okay.
there's a part in there where you have to call, where if you can't figure out what to do, they give you you go to the payphone, and the payphone will give you a number to call on screen. And then what you do in real life back then, when this game came out in the 80s, you would call that number and it would give you a tip on how to get past that part of the game. If you call that number now, it's a porn line. So if your kids are playing Roger Rabbit now and they call that number for help, it takes them to
Do you think
some
people
porn
still
line.
use phone sex? Do you think it's still a thing? Because you can go on the internet now, right? I mean, you can go on chat roulette. You're gonna have to scroll through a lot of dicks, but eventually you're probably gonna get a chick, and then you could just do your thing for free, right?
I got a pretty good imagination. I don't need to spend $10 an hour or whatever
right?
minute.
I mean, you can get it for. We've talked about this on the show before. You can get it for free.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get porn for free, of course. You can watch Tomb of the Werewolf, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you got Tomb of the Werewolf. You're set.
I don't know. So, I mean, I don't know what you guys thought of WNUF coming in, but I may have made your interest a little bit higher by pointing out all the things that I saw.
I have to say, because my view on it wasn't that praiseworthy, but it did have 80s nostalgic.
That's the other thing I really love about it.
The nostalgia.
It brings me back to the 80s, man. I love 80s movies.
Me too.
But with the combination of them flipping through the advertisements and just quickly going through to the next scene, kind of put me off a little bit.
Yeah, then I agree.
Yeah, it did me too. But now that I know, now that Adam educated me, now when I watch it the next time, I'll probably like the ads now.
The ads are once you do watch it in that way, it's like the first time you watch it, you're watching it like a TV show, right? Like you're basically watching it in the same exact way. So you're like, what the fuck's with the ads? I want to get back to my show. It's almost got the same exact effect. Like if you watch it today, you have the DVR and you fast forward it. But back then, you had to sit through all these fucking ads before you could get back to the show. It had that same exact effect on you because you're like, the ads keep interrupting my movie. I want to watch the movie and they keep putting these stupid ads in here.
Yeah.
It basically had the same exact effect that ads have today. Like if you watch TV, it's the same thing. No one wants to watch them.
I usually watch the same movies every Halloween. But most of the time when we get together, we get drinking and talking, I think this is going to be the perfect movie to have in the background. Just let it play, because a lot of the times you're not...
It's going to go on my permanent Halloween watching list.
Yeah, me too. Because this is the movie where you can have it on, bullshit, drink, play quarters or whatever, and still have it on and enjoy it. It's fun. Really is.
Or you can have Tomb of the Werewolf on.
Yeah, my TV faces my door, so...
Yeah. I used to have that problem when I lived over here. I'd be watching shit and I'd be like, I'd see the kids out there and I'd be like, fuck.
They're not my kid, not my problem. That's what I say.
I was watching able to watch Cannibal Holocaust.
I was watching the 40s.
No.
You didn't watch it yet? You can't watch it, or you just?
I just haven't been able to. The kids are always around.
Dude, I got it on Blu-ray now.
I kind of want to watch it on Blu. I don't want to own it on Blu-ray. I just want to watch it on Blu-ray.
Oh, it's fucking.
I have. I put the I put the soundtrack on my phone. I've been listening.
It's good. Yeah, I mean that came with the soundtrack, full soundtrack.
It's fucking fantastic.
The Blu-ray. I mean, for me, it's like, oh my god.
Every once in a while, on my ride home, I'll just turn it on.
Yeah.
Especially the theme song. The theme song is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's fantastic. So anyway, I recommend WNUF Halloween Special.
Me too.
Watch it in the way, if you're a fan of horror movies, and you get all crazy looking into it like me, I think you'll have more fun with it, because you're there's a part where I'm rewinding. I'm like, I gotta go back and see if that was a reference, and just I think if you watch it like that, you'll have fun with it. And as always, you can find us on the web at midnighttriplefeature.blogspot.com, on Twitter at MTFeature, and on Facebook. And on Facebook. And on Facebook. And on Facebook.